This is Jann Newton from Newton Custom Interiors, and today I'm going to show you how to make a pillow with cording around the edges. Cording just adds a nice decorative detail to your pillow, makes it just a little more custom looking than a ready-made pillow. What you're going to need for this project is a pillow form. I'm using a 14 by 14 inch pillow form for my pillow. You're going to need your fabric. I'm using two different fabrics for the front and the back sides, but of course you can use the same fabric for both sides if you'd like. The fabric is cut in 14 by 14 inch squares, the same size as my pillow form. So whatever size your pillow form is, cut your fabric the same exact size. I don't like to add in for seam allowances because I like to make my pillow covers nice and snug and not too loose on my pillow form. You're also going to need your cording, and the cording is basically fabric wrapped around a cord. It can also be called piping. I've done a video called How to Make Cording, and the link for it is on the screen. So you can make your cording first and then apply it to your pillow. You'll also need straight pins and scissors, and then of course your sewing machine and thread to match the fabric. Now I'm going to take the fabric and the cording over to the sewing machine and get started. So we're ready to apply the cording to our pillow fabric. I've got the front side of the pillow, the face side up. I've got my cording, and I'm going to start on the bottom edge of my pillow cover to start. I have made enough cording to go all the way around the pillow, plus an additional 5 inches for me to join the ends when I get back down to the bottom edge again. I'm using a zipper foot, and I'm going to sew right along the cording. It doesn't matter at this point to whether I get real close to the cording, because we're going to make another pass around the cording when we apply the back piece of fabric. So for now, we just need to get the cording on, and it doesn't have to be sewn very close to the cord. I've made my cording on the bias, so I want to make sure that I don't stretch my cording as I sew it. I actually try to ease in a little bit so there's not as much puckering. I just sew right along the edge of the cording, and when I get to my corner, I'm going to clip the cording so that it will ease around the corner a little bit easier. Just ease your stitches around the corner, around the cording. And now I'm just going to come up this second side of my pillow. I'm going to continue sewing around all 4 sides until I get back to the bottom edge again, where I'm going to join my 2 pieces. Okay, so I've gotten back to the bottom edge of my pillow where I started my cording, and I'm going to stop sewing excuse me, a few inches away from the start of the cording. So I've got a little bit loose here. So now we're going to join these 2 pieces of cording on the bottom edge of the pillow. This first piece that we started with is already loose and open and ready for me to work with. But now I need to open up the second piece. And to do that, I'm going to lay the first piece on top of the second piece, and at this top angled corner of the first piece, I'm just going to cut the second piece about 1/4 of an inch away from that, a little bit longer than it. Then I'm going to open up my seam, just probably 3 or 4 inches, just enough to give you some room to work with the cording and the fabric. Now I'm going to lay my piece that I just got done sewing on the bottom and apply the first piece of the cording, the first fabric, on top of it. So this is where I just finished sewing, right here, and this is where I started sewing. When I've got my bottom piece under the top piece, I'm going to cut 1/4 of an inch away from this angled corner on my top piece. Just going to make a little notch on the bottom piece of fabric, 1/4 of an inch in from the top piece. Now I'm going to take that notch that I made and cut at a 45-degree angle. So now I've got 2 angled pieces that I can match up. And now I'm just going to sew these 2 pieces of fabric together with about 1/4 inch seam allowance. Okay, now that I've got them sewn, I'm going to finger press the seam open, and I'm going to lay my cords in the middle of the fabric. And now I'm going to cut my cords at an angle. I'm going to cut the first one at an angle like this, and I'm making sure that I'm not cutting in where my seam would be. And then the second piece of cording, I'm going to cut at the same angle. And what this does is it allows the cording to meet up together nicely and not make a big lump. It doesn't overlap and make a lump. It lays in there nicely. So I'm laying my cording in the center of the fabric again, and I'm going to fold the fabric over the cording and sew all along where we've joined these 2 pieces of cording together. Making sure that I really hold together all of these pieces until I get it sewn. Now, because this bottom edge is not going to get sewn again when I put my back piece of fabric on, I'm going to make sure and sew one more time across here very close to my cording. In fact, I think I'll use a cording foot for this. And I should show you, a cording foot just has a groove for the cording to fit in, and it allows you to sew right next to the cording. If your machine does not have a cording foot, you can use your zipper foot and just try to get as close to the cord as you can. So you just very quickly make another pass along that bottom edge of the cording, and you can see that I did get much closer that second time. Next, we're going to pin our front side to our back side. So I lay my back fabric on top of the front fabric, and I make sure that my pins are on the bottom, which will be the front piece of fabric. My first pin I put at the corner of that bottom edge, and then I'm going to put another pin about 2 inches away, and that will be where I start and stop along this bottom edge of the pillow, leaving the center open so that we can insert the pillow form. So I'm going to continue on pinning my front and back pieces together. So I'm done pinning my front and back sides together. I'm going to flip the pillow over so that the front side is up. I did want to mention I have marked my bottom edge with pins when I cut my fabric out. So that just helps me remember which edge is the bottom edge. And also I have been using a 1/2 inch seam allowance to apply the cording, and then that's what I'll be using to sew the front and back sides together. So I'm going to start about 2 inches away from this first corner. I'm going to sew all the way around the 3 sides until I come back to the 4th corner, and I'll stop about 2 inches away from the 4th corner. And I'm going to make sure that I really backstitch well at the starting and stopping points, because that's where your pillow form is going to go in, and you're going to get a lot of tugging there, and you don't want your stitches to come out. So I'm using my cording foot again, starting, like I said, 2 inches away from the corner. I'm going to take my pins out as I go. Just come up to the first corner, kind of pivot, take a little stitch, and then continue on up the second side. So I'm back to my 4th corner. I'm at the bottom edge of the pillow, and again I want to leave this middle portion open to make it easier to get the pillow form in. I'm going to backstitch really well, and now we've got our pillow sewn together. The next step is to turn the pillow right side out and insert the pillow form. So I'm going to go over to the table to do that. I've turned the pillow cover right side out, and now our next step is to insert the pillow form. And I simply put my hand in the middle of the pillow form and then hold on to either side with my other hand. And I hold on to the pillow form like this until I get it completely into the cover, and then I will let go. Once I get the pillow form in, I want to make sure that all of the pillow form corners are in the corners of the pillow cover nicely. And then the last step is to close up this bottom edge. And I'm not going to show that to you today on this video. I've done another video that shows how to hand sew the pillow closed. and the link for it is on the screen. But to prepare for that, the hand sewing, I am going to fold my fabric of my backside under about a 1/2 inch, and then I'm going to line it up with my cording side, and then this will be where I hand stitch it closed. It's starting in the center, and then I work out to either side, just pinning that in place so it's ready for your hand sewing. So once your hand sewing's done, then you can enjoy your pillow with the decorative cording accent.